We're gay. I love lesbians. I love me some lesbians. You enter the princess's bedroom and glance about. Her room looks much the same as you remember it from the night prior, though the ceiling seems even higher than viewed in the warmth of morning's light. The princess herself, meanwhile, is curled on her side beneath the sheets, looking rather less grandeur than her title would suggest. She is attired in a nightgown adorned with frills, and her hair is split across her pillows like spilled gold. In her slender arms, meanwhile, held to her chest is a doll, the very same one she was corseting last night. You suppose this doll must be her favorite. Idly you wonder what the doll's name is, though you do not suppose that matters all that much. It is time to wake your mistress. You call out to the princess, but she largely unresponsive. Her eyelashes are still sewn tightly shut, and her lips pursed in slumber. You purse your lips too and sigh. Well, nobody ever said your job would be easy. Once again you call to the princess, and this time she replies. Her response is not a favorable one though, however. She sighs and turns away from you, her doll clutched to her chest. Just give me a little longer. The princess sounds so enfeebled, but you do not take pity on her. If you have learnt anything from the conservatoire, save for knowledge pertaining to the respiratory tracts of fish, it is that one must be cruel to be kind. What is bro talking about? You do not think this adage was practiced with any great success in the conservatoire, but perhaps it will have more of an impact upon the princess. You tell her once again to wake up, more sternly this time. You will not let her sleep, for she has slept long enough already. It is very slovenly, really, to still be abed at such an hour. Oops, I held the button. I'm up, you don't need to nag me. Once she has roused the princess from her bed, and you have put her doll to one side, you set upon her toilette. You aid the princess in brushing of her hair, a chore to which she submits willingly, like a cat might allow its fur to be brushed. Now that the princess's tresses has been taken care of, you must start on her attire. The princess remains seated upon the edge of her bed, looking up at you askance. Bruv. Big words. Words that I don't know. She does not ask you to avert your eyes, or nor does she make any motion of divesting herself of her nightgown. It really does seem as though she expects you to undertake this task on your own. Is that alright? You ask the princess as much you would not wish to impinge upon her modesty. She only laughs. Yes, that's alright. It's what you're supposed to do if you're to be my lady's maid. I'm used to being dressed and undressed. I'm not a bit squeamish about it. She might not be squeamish about it, but you are. You have never seen a naked woman before excepting yourself. It's alright, I might be a princess, but we're both people underneath all of our clothes. I doubt we look much different. You are not sure about that. You have not yet seen the princess unadorned, but you already know to look at her face that you are different. She is much, much prettier than you are. But she is waiting, and you do not wish to keep her any longer. You steady your nerves. Oh! Then you reach out with trembling hands, and you begin to undo the buttons which run down the front of the princess's nightgown. I could see this whole thing as like a really beautiful, movie. The sight of all this exposed skin is bad for your heart. Fortunately, you are able to make quick work of the princess's nightgown despite your initial mishaps, spurred on perhaps by your anxiety. You bid the princess to stand, which she does, and neatly she steps out of her nightgown, her motions once again as graceful and as fluid as a dancer's. The task completed, you search hurriedly and worriedly for the princess's red dress. Where is it? You cannot find it. Sweat begins to prickle on the back of your neck. Your palms, meanwhile, feel uncomfortably clammy. The moments pass awkwardly, uneasily as you search the princess standing there all the while as naked as the day she was born. Why did you not find her day dress before you stripped her of her night one? What a fool you are! The princess, noting your panic, giggles, then says, Are you looking for my dress? Yes, you reply, your face flushed. That is what you were doing. I thought so. I did wonder before you started undressing me why you'd not ask where it was. Maybe it slipped your mind? It had slipped your mind, yes, to your shame. You were too busy trying not to fixate upon the princess's bare skin to think about how best to conceal it. My dress is in my armoire, the princess says, glancing over to the more aforementioned piece of furniture. You can tell how much I talk. That's much better. Thank you, dear one, for your help. You've not been here for a full day, but I already wonder what I'd do without you. Shyly, you assure the princess that you did nothing, really nothing, beyond your job. You did not do anything incredible. And in any case, being complimented by someone so pretty is so embarrassing. Aw, don't be like that. I want to compliment you. Why shouldn't I? When you've been so helpful, it'd be rude not to. And anyway, I think you're very pretty too. Oh my. Your face flushes from this more deeply than ever before. You ought to count yourself lucky, really. What with all this excessive blushing that the princess does not seem to possess any vampiristic tendencies. You are making yourself quite the easy target. Now, the princess declares, why don't we go for a walk? It's a nice enough day, and I get so very bored of being cooped up inside. The courtyard is fenced in by the castle's walls, which look in the stark midday light, tall and imposing, faceless soldiers standing sentinel. Boy. The princess, however, seems to not share your dolorous mood. She instead looks elated by her newfound surroundings, her smile unwavering. She gambols about like a lamb, flitting hither and thither as she examines the weed-infested flower beds. Her frolicking comes to a cease, however, by a bush. One is full of bright red roses. Oh, how very pretty! Do you not think they are gorgeous, dear one? The flowers are not too disappointing, you suppose? They make for a fine spectacle, in fact, a welcome splash of colour, when contrasted with the dullness and drabness which permeates the rest of the courtyard. Oh, they are simply divine! Looking at these roses always lifts my spirits. They really are my most favourite flowers. I simply must pick some of them. Perhaps I can use them to decorate my bedchamber. It could use a little bit of colour. The princess reaches out to pluck one of the roses free from its resting place among its brethren. You watch her, your breath bated, anxious that this gesture might result in a perforated flesh and bright red blood. But the princess is not as clumsy as you fear. Of course she is not. Who did you think she was? You? Fucking idiot. Rather than worrying about other people, you would be better served if you worried more about yourself. The princess holds her newly pilfered rose at her nose and inhales, her eyelids falling shut as the flower's sweet scent washes over her face. A few moments of silence pass. Then the princess begins to toy with the petals which adorn the flower's crown. Now let me see. I wonder what fate it has in store for me. She loves me? The princess plucks a petal from the flower's overburdened head. She loves me not. The princess continues with this childish incantation, all the while stripping her rose slowly and methodically of its petals. These petals flutter about the princess like bloody snow. The princess's voice, meanwhile, echoes throughout the courtyard, even more melodic than the strains of a pianola. She loves me not. She loves me not. The princess's fingers hover over the final petal which crowns her nearly denuded flower. Then, with a triumphant smile, she declares she loves me! I knew it! You watch the princess, amused by her girlish good cheer. Pleasantly, you ask the princess whose love it is she wishes to court, a query which makes the princess giggle. Oh, dear one, who else would I be thinking of? Naturally, I was thinking of you. Naturally? She says it so easily, as though you ought to have been suspected as much, and indeed, part of you did. You wanted to believe, yet part of you was afraid to. You did not want to be arrogant enough to assume that the princess might care for your affections. You begin to blush, your cheeks almost as red as the roses, while the princess laughs. I just thought that all this watching must be boring for you, the princess says, tossing the rose's stripped stem carelessly to the ground. You should give it a try. Please do, it'll be fun. The princess retrieves a second red rose from the bushes, deftly snapping it between her fingers, and offers it to you. I want to see what fate has in store for you too. You smile at the princess, touched by her enthusiasm. Indulging in childish games like this might have not been the best use of your time, but the princess looks so very determined you would not wish to hurt her. What could be the harm, really, in consenting? The only real casualty of this game would be this singular rose, the rose that the princess is holding towards you. You reach out, meaning to accept the princess's offering, but... Oh no! You are clumsy, and you seize the stem of the rose with a touch too much strength. The head of the rose might be pretty, but there is more. They died and I died. Imagine I die from touching the rose. That'd be crazy. The head of the rose might be pretty, but there's more to a rose than its bright red flowers. Roses have thorns too, a fact that you are now painfully reminded of. Pain flares through your fingers and you gasp. You take a step back, the hem of your skirt swishing around your ankles. Your fingers is stinging, and so are your eyes. You ought to have been more careful. Why were you so stupid?
You poor dear, you're bleeding!
The princess exclaimed, alarmed. Then she frowns.
This is all my fault. If I'd not suggested this silly game, this never would have happened. Please let me take care of you.
And how is she going to do that? Perhaps she means to take a handkerchief from her pocket with which she might staunch your wound.
Please, hold still. This might sting a little bit.
This princess is anything but ordinary. Rather than take a handkerchief out of her pocket, she instead encloses her white, slender fingers around your hand. Carefully, as though she is handling a precious object, she raises your hand. Her eyes are fixed all the while on the beads of startlingly crimson blood which are oozing luridly from your wound. She licks her lower lip. Oh? Then she dips her head. Ooh. Oh my gosh. She has pink hair. It is me. Oh my god. Guys. It's literally me. She parts her mouth, and with a soft sigh which borders on the sensuous, she slips your injured digit between her teeth. So much for princesses not dispensing kisses as tokens of appreciation. This might not be a conventional kiss, but it feels intimate regardless, almost startlingly so. The princess's lips, which are as red as any rose, are enclosed around your index finger. You can feel the warmth of the princess's mouth about your skin, and the wetness of it. Jesus. Why do I feel like I'm reading something I should not be reading? This is what Yuri usually is, right? These sensations make your whole body quake. You did not expect this. Has it stopped? Your injury was not a deep one. There should be no need for the princess to keep on suckling, but she still is. You are not accustomed to intimacy of this nature. It is making your heart flutter. If the princess knew what her mouth was doing to you, you are sure she would not be very familiar. You feel quietly, crushingly confident that she would scorn you for your feelings and deem them unnatural. It would not be the first time. At this point, you should be used to rejection. It still stings, though. It stings much, much more than any thorn on any rose ever could. And then we scissor. And then she asks, and then I ask, are we just friends? That's usually what lesbians are. You literally stick your tongue down their throat and it's like, is this just in a friend way or are we something more? You have only just finished stoking that very fire and now you rise. The look of the princess who is lying in her bed, and you bid her a good night as you have many nights past. With a neat curtsy you turn to leave, but the princess's plaintive voice gives you a pause.
Wait, dear one, do not go, not just yet.
Perplexed, you pause, then look back at the princess. Though she is smiling, her expression is unusually wan. Is she alright?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's just nights like this, you know, which makes me feel a little out of sorts.
And what, you ask, does she mean by that?
Only that it is very cold and very dark, and it is very windy besides. I'm afraid there'll be a storm later. It was awfully cloudy earlier when we went out for a walk.
The princess is not mistaken about that. The sky, when the pair of you promenaded about the gardens earlier, was grey and steely, the wind bitingly cold. You can hear the wind rattling mournfully against the panes in the princess's bedchamber.
It might sound childish, but I've always found it hard to sleep on stormy nights like this. They make me feel uncomfortable.
You look at the princess with no small degree of sympathy. No longer clad in her bright red dress, she looks oddly, uncommonly vulnerable.
I wouldn't like to take up too much of your time when it is so very late, but would you mind sitting with me a little longer and reading to me, provided that you can, of course?
This is a fair enough question, but your pride bristles regardless. Hastily, you reassure that the princess, yes, of course you could read. You were a poor student in many aspects at the conservatoire, but you had something of a gift when it came to literary arts. Reading books is all you have ever been good at.
Oh, I see. I suppose I should have known. You're so incredible. I sometimes wonder if there's anything you can't do.
You take a seat beside the princess upon your luxurious bed, which sinks beneath your weight. Then you retrieve the leather-bound book which is resting upon her bedside table and spread it open. That's not the only thing I'm gonna spread open tonight. Once you reach the final phrase embossed upon the pages of this aged tomb, and they lived happily ever after, the princess sighs as though this tale has touched her very soul.
Would that there was a handsome prince to marry me, she said somberly, or better yet, a beautiful princess. At this point, I think I would even settle for a lowly scullery maid. That was a nice story, the princess says, but I'm not sleepy yet, and it's still stormy outside. Won't you read me one more?
You would not mind, you reply, but it is getting late. You really ought to return to your own chamber.
I know, but can't you find it in your heart to read one story to me? Just one? You can choose a short one, I won't complain.
You have some doubts about that, but as before, you cannot resist the princess's demands. It is not, you think, because she is a princess, though that is, of course, a part of it, but because she is, well, radiant.
I think I could go to sleep now, but the storm is still raging. I feel lonely on my own in this big, empty bed, so... I know, the princess's eyes light up like the night sky in a thunderstorm. Why don't you sleep with me?
She stares at the princess. Or no, you stare at the princess, your eyes wide as a goose eggs. Slowly you blink. Then just as slowly, you bid her to repeat herself.
Didn't you hear me?
The princess giggles.
Maybe you've been so busy cleaning up after me you've neglected to clean out your own ears. I said, dear one, would you like to sleep with me?
If that is the question she truly means to ask, then it isn't easy enough to answer. Of course you would like to sleep with her. It would be an honor. But would it really be alright for you to accept such an invitation?
Well, what's the matter, dear one? Why do you tarry so? Could it be...
The princess's lower lip begins to tremble.
Don't you want to lie with me after all?
The sorrow present in the princess's voice and in her face makes you feel awfully guilty. Hurriedly you console her. You tell her in no uncertain terms that if she truly wishes to partake in your company that you have no qualms with it. Why would you?
Well then, don't just stand there dilly-dallying, silly. Come and join me. Come.
Come. And that is what you do, after returning briefly to your own chamber to change into your nightgown. Once dressed, you waste no time in returning to your impetuous princess's side. She's already lying in her glorious four-poster bed, waiting at your return, as though you are knight-errant gone away to slay some wicked demon. The princess giggles when she sees you. In your haste to change, you have made a hash of the buttons, and she bids you to come closer.
Let me fix that for you, silly.
Oh no, you say, I couldn't possibly let you do that. I am but a servant, after all. Should it not be your job to dress her?
Maybe so, the princess says, but I don't mind a bit of role reversal. It makes things more fun. Now come in. It must be horribly cold out there, but these sheets are warm.
Coyly, the princess smiles.
And so am I.
You feel warm yourself as you slide into the bed beside the princess. Your face is as red as the gown the princess so often wears, as red as the roses in the castle's ground. All the while your heart is fluttering. Does the princess know what an effect she is having on you? Surely she must. How could any woman be so blind?
There!
The princess exclaims once your body is lying beside her.
That is much better. Do you feel cozy now, dear one?
You swallow, and with a shaky voice you reassure her. Yes, you are cozy. You are quite cozy indeed.
Very good. The storm might be raging outdoors, but it can't get to us in here. I know. When I'm with you, I'll be safe. It's strange, but...
The princess reaches out, then takes your hand in hers, twinning your fingers together like a chain.
When I'm with you, I feel so very light. It's as though nothing in the world can hurt me. You make me feel safe, so I want to make you feel safe too. I'll take very, very good care of you. I promise.
You return her smile with one of your own, touched by her thoughtfulness, though something about her promise does make you wonder. Should it not be your job to look after her as a domestic?
In a way, the princess replies.
But after a pause.
But you've been taking good care of me already. Now I need to return the favor. As a princess, I'm supposed to look after my vassals. That's all part of my job description.
Your sleep is a deep one, despite the storm which rages outdoors. The wind is howling like a couple of wild cats, both locked in a vicious and bloodthirsty bout to the death, but you do not hear it, swaddled by the warm blankets about you, and soothed by the princess's presence. You are immune from all the ills of the world. When you are with the princess, you feel safe, secure, and, yes, you even feel loved. It is a pity, then, that these feelings do not last very long. You know that something is wrong, catastrophically so, the moment you open your eyes. Your thoughts are hopelessly jumbled, but you are certain that when you fell asleep it was in a bed, a nice warm bed no less, beneath soft, comfortable sheets. What the fuck? You are not lying in a bed right now, though. You are not, in fact, lying at all. Oh? You're standing instead against a cold, hard wall made of stone. The curve of your back pressed against the wall so intimately you can feel its icy chill seeping through the fabric of your nightgown. Your feet, which are bare, are similarly pressed against the cold, unfleeting stone. They feel so frigid you cannot help but tremble. You are trembling so much you can feel your teeth chattering together. They sound like castanets. There are others here, others attired in the simple black and white outfits of servants which look much like the dress that you once wore. Oh my god. The others who are with you, however, in this expansive cell, manacled to the wall, are no fit state to speak to you, nor to tell you of their plights. They are unfeeling, unseeing, unbreathing. They are all dead. You cannot approach those servants to check their pulses, for you yourself are restrained, but even if you could, there would be no point. There is no way any human could survive the wounds which have been inflicted upon these sad, slumped bodies. Over there you see a woman slumped in the front of her once white apron stained with blackish blood. There is a gaping wound in her stomach, one through which her entrails have half escaped in some sort of burgundy group, which might once have been pale pink. There is another woman slumped beside the first, of a smaller stature. She is skinnier. Maybe she is not a woman after all, but an adolescent like yourself. She might even be younger. The girl's age or lack of did not preclude her attacker from inflicting upon her horrors. Alas, for her body is even more mutilated than the first. Her body is peppered with even more wheals, and her face has been half smashed in. Only one eye remains, staring fixedly at the wall opposite of her, in the ruined remnants of what was once her skull. Over there you see a woman who is missing both her arms and her lower jaw. Over there you see another who is missing her entire lower half. Where have her legs gone? You have no idea. The injuries inflicted upon these bodies are ghastly, but their decay is enough to turn your stomach. You do not know how long these carcasses have been lying down here, but they have begun to putrefy. You fear a similar fate might befall you, should you stay here. You need to escape. Fitfully you struggle against the manacles which bind you, but alas, it is no use. You cannot free yourself from the walls. Your restraints are much too strong, and you are much too weak. Look now, she has come all this way into the dark depths of the castle's cold, inhospitable dungeon to see you. Is that not kind of her?
Oh, dear one,
the princess trills, entering the dungeon with a series of lilting steps.
It seems like you have finally awoken. How are you?
Based on all that infernal racket you've been making, it would seem like you have no shortage of energy. Balefully, you turn your head so as to meet the eyes of the princess. She is standing but a few paces away, beneath the roughly hewn stone arch, which bids one entry, but rarely ever an exit, to the dungeons. The dungeons are dull and drab, but the princess is wearing her favorite red dress. It is so bright and brilliant that for a few moments it hurts you to look at her. Once the red of the princess's outfit made you think of romance, now it makes you think of violence.
You must forgive me for leaving you down here for so long. That was unfair of me. I did think of waiting here with you by your side until you awoke, but...
Once again the princess giggles, a light, airy giggle which does not at all suit the situation in which you have found yourself.
A dungeon is not a fit place after all for a princess. It is horribly cold down here, and so very drab, and there's nowhere nice and soft to lay my head. I could have brought my pillows down from my bed, I suppose, and my blankets, but then they would have gotten dirty, and that would be a disaster. I need to be more careful. I won't have anyone left to clean up after my messes soon. Not when I've dispatched of you.
Once again the princess laughs. Her laughter is light and lilting, like the chimney of a silvery bell, but it does little to alleviate your concern. If anything, it makes you feel even more alarmed. Did she say she meant to dispatch of you?
Yes, that's right. Could you not tell? I thought you might have figured that out already after waking up in a dungeon, silly.
Still smiling, the princess takes another step towards you. With that, you would cringe away from her, but you cannot. You are completely powerless. The princess reaches out and places a hand upon your cheek. Her skin is very white, and though her touch is cool, it is less so than the frigid air in the dungeon. Though your body is aching, the princess's touch is gentle, and you find yourself leaning into it subconsciously. You wish she would keep holding you. You wish she would keep touching you. You luxuriate in her kindness as best as you can. But though the princess's caresses are tender, your circumstances rather undermine them. How can you relax like this?
Ah, you're such a good girl,
the princess says, in a cajoling sort of voice, as one might address a cat.
You've been so lovely to me while we've been together. I really couldn't have asked for a better servant. I feel as though I've been spoiled.
Why then, you ask her, is she doing this? Improbable though it sound, she must be the one who chained you up. There is nobody else in the castle who could have committed such a feat. Everybody else is dead.
Why, yes! How very astute of you. I was the one who orchestrated all of this naturally.
Naturally, she says, as though her betrayal is a matter of course. Naturally. Why, you ask, is this so natural to her? What does she mean to do with you?
Oh, only what I've done with all my other servants. I have experience with this sort of thing, so please don't worry. I'll take good care of you.
And by take good care of, she means,
naturally, I'll kill you.
There it is again, that word, which seems grossly inappropriate given all which has transpired. Naturally, there is nothing natural about this.
Do you not think so?
The princess examines you, her expression ponderous.
It's natural to me, even if it isn't natural to other people. This just feels right.
I like you, dear one, the princess says, in a voice which sounds uncommonly serious.
You have been so good to me, like I said, and kind. For that, I will be eternally appreciative. You have been so good to me, in fact, that simply being with you is not enough. Not anymore. Your company can no longer content me. I'm a greedy, selfish girl, you see.
The princess's smile widens into something sinister, her eyes flashing with a fiendish fervor you have never before witnessed.
And I don't want to feel you beside me. I want to feel you inside me.
You know, we can just have sex. We don't have to do this, you know? I would have fingered you. I would have done anything. Well, of all the things your charming captive could have said, you did not expect that.
It's simple, really, like I said. You were wondering, weren't you, why there weren't any guards or any servants in the castle when you first arrived?
The question had crossed your mind, yes. You are sure that the princess said her ministers have sent them away, though. Was that a lie?
I wasn't being wholly truthful, no. I thought you would be afraid of me if you knew what actually happened, and I didn't want that. I wanted you to stay with me. My ministers didn't send anybody away because I don't have any ministers. I dispatched of them too.
Did she now? You suppose you ought not be surprised, but you still shudder regardless.
My ministers weren't very fun, I'm afraid. They had a lot of ideas about what I should do and what I shouldn't do after my parents died.
The princess stares at you, her eyes wide like black holes, empty, yawning abysses.
So I killed them. I killed my servants too, though I did a more thorough job with them than I did my ministers. I did not care for my ministers, you see. They were all fusty old men, but I did love my servants. I loved my ladies' maids and my undermaids and my scullery maids and my housekeeper and my cooks and my large retinue of retainers. They were all like my family. They raised me in my parents' absence, and I adored them. They were so very dear to me that I had no real choice. I had to eat them. Does that follow?
Not logically, no. Why?
Why, you ask? The princess blinks. It's because I don't want you to leave me, of course. Everybody leaves sooner or later, whether they have pledged their allegiance to me or not. That is simply the way of the world. People are fickle and inconsistent, even to me, a monarch. That is why I decided to eat my servants. I had no choice, you see. It was the only way to ensure that they would never leave me. When you think about it, they should be grateful that I would demean myself so to consume their flesh and blood.
Can I just say that you are not keeping them even if you eat them because you're gonna shit them out? They're gonna be gone anyways, and now they're gone permanently. You didn't even have a chance of keeping them.
If you were a plain ugly girl, perhaps I would not shower you with affection quite as intense as this, but you've captured my heart. I think you're lovely, so I'll bestow upon you the highest honor I can conceive of. I want your body to mix with mine, then we can stay together forever and ever. The princess leans in. You can feel her soft silken hair brush against your cheeks. You can feel too the warmth of her breath as it goes against your skin. It is cold in the dungeon, but the princess's close proximity is perverse, though in this might sound something of a comfort. Her eyes are wide and her lips are so red. Her smile, meanwhile, is so sweet. I've been doing my best to fulfill the role that fate has dictated for me, but really, the princess exhales. Her eyes, which are boring into yours, are like two dark tarns. Finally, you think you can see, in the alarming lack of light, the lack of anything, in the princess's gaze, some degree of humanity. It gets so lonely here. But this brief flicker of understanding which passes between the pair of you is soon cut short. The princess dips her head. She parts her lips, which are as red as the petals of the carnivorous flower. You feel the princess's breath against your neck. It is warm in the icy chill of the dungeon, and you shudder from it. For a few moments you think this overturn of the princesses could be romantic, in a way, but this too comes to a swift, merciless close. The princess's mouth is on your neck. The princess's teeth, sharp as needles, are in your flesh. The princess is draining your blood. She is supping on it in great, greedy gobbets like a hungry animal, one who cannot truly comprehend the harm it is causing. Even if, as the princess sups from you, her arms twined around your waist, you find you cannot hate her. She is far too unworldly. You are sure, as your consciousness begins to fade, that the princess was being sincere when she spoke of her love of her past servants. This is simply the way the princess expresses this great love of hers, a love which is so very abundant it borders upon the monstrous. It is a love you never thought you would ever experience. This love of the princesses eclipses anything you have ever known before. It eclipses sanity. It eclipses reason. It eclipses all notions you might once have had of right and wrong. As before she dips her head, her red lips redder, still with your blood, then splits apart her jaw. Her teeth, which are impossibly inhumanly sharp, glint wickedly like knives. Then she tears out your throat. Yuck! The front of your nightgown was a white once, now it is red. You make for quite the sorry sight indeed, but you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in any case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? Oh, what? Does it make much of a difference? I feel like if I do fight against my fate, I'm gonna restart from the beginning. So I'm gonna accept my fate. What, really? You're fine with being eaten alive in a dark, dingy dungeon than being left to rot? That does not sound like a satisfying ending to this particular narrative, but if that's what you want, then so be it. I do not mind indulging you. That is what I have always done, after all, from the moment we first met. I have dedicated myself tirelessly to answering your wishes, and that this is no difference. Do not be so foolish to think, though, that you can escape me, even if your life's blood has mingled with that of the princesses. I'm not going to relinquish my hold upon you that easily. I did pledge, after all, to remain by your side, come what will, fire or flood. I will never leave you. You will never be lonely again. Ooh. Oh, that's it? What? I mean, that's pretty good, right? Well, now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more images to see. Obviously, you didn't get much choices in regards to, like, if you... like, how you talk to the princess. It was really not much choices. The only choice I really did was the ending there and the very beginning of where I wanted to go. So I'm guessing this, if I choose to fight against it, maybe it's another ending. I don't know. And if I do the other 2 places, maybe there's other endings. I don't know. But if you want to see it, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe and like. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!